Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy-Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy-Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And, I get these wild questions because, we hear all these strange things like if I sleep at an angle, I'll get brain damage. Or if I hang upside down too long, it's going to cause a aneurysm or something like this. And one of my favorites is if I crack my knuckles, I'm going to get arthritis. And I want to kind of explain some mechanisms here so that we have a better understanding of why this may or may not be true. And, I guess when we look at cracking knuckles, there's every joint in the human body, if it's stuck, it will pop. And people think that, if, as a chiropractor, if I pop them, that, number one, it could do damage. And number two, if they start getting popped, they're going to have to come the rest of their lives. And I think that's an easy jump to make because if we start cracking our knuckles, what do we start doing all the time? Cracking our knuckles. And we tend to irritate the joints in a way instead of letting them heal. A joint that gets stuck is not healthy. Healthy joints don't get stuck. And when we adjust a finger joint, there's a good way to pop it and there's a bad way to pop it, if you will. And usually just pulling on the finger, if it pops, that's fine. And if you pull your finger right now, you might even watch the joint open up. And you can pull the finger out of alignment, but as soon as you let the finger go, it goes right back to where it should go, where the body says is best. And so, much like chiropractic, if you adjust your neck, it's not like you're going to do something damage-wise. You're going to open up that joint, and then the body is going to decide where that joint should be. So I'm not putting anything into place, and nothing's really technically out of place, though over time, the muscles get tight, and now we pull joints out of alignment in more, not microscopic ways, but not macroscopic like a dislocated shoulder, which is a massive, out of placement. These are micro placements, if you will, but they still make pressure on nerves, which then cause problems in organs and the rest of the body. So that's why we adjust. But let's say that I'm one of these people that are constantly cracking my knuckles by, making a fist and forcing the fingers into the palm and they pop. That is a grinding of the joint, and that's an irritation of the joint. If I do that, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, and I can just do that over and over, I will probably inevitably get nice red knuckles, and the joints are going to start arthrosing or growing and getting bigger, and eventually I might be able to cause arthritis. But arthritis in and of itself is more of a vascular issue, and maybe on other podcasts you've heard me say that. What does vascular mean? It means it's a heart problem. When the ends of our bones, where our joints form, those ends, that cartilage is actual bone cells that used to be bone cells. They're now cartilage cells. The life cycle of a bone cell is to become a cartilage cell and make cartilage. We make cartilage all of our lives. We're supposed to anyways. But if I shut down blood flow because my vascular system isn't very good, and let's say I've got a diet that's high in sugar and now I am increasing the calcium in my blood, because every time we spike blood sugar, we're going to spike insulin, but we're also going to pull extra calcium into the blood to try to protect the blood from that high sugar. That's its job. And so as I continually have high calcium in the blood, the little blood vessels or the capillaries at the end of the bones, plus our skin, organs, everywhere, they all start to calcify. And so that calcium builds up, and now we supply oxygen less and less to those tissues. Why do we think that people that have diabetes long-term end up losing their feet? They get them cut off because they have neuropathy. Those blood vessels have now killed the cells in their feet and their nerves, and now their feet technically die because they're at the end of the chain where the capillaries are. And they just keep having more and more of their legs cut off. And that's sad, but that's how it's working. And so if I'm not supplying my bones with the necessary blood flow, those bone cells that migrate to the end of the bone to become cartilage cells that we talked about just a minute or two ago, those bone cells die and they can't become cartilage cells. And now I start degenerating cartilage on my fingers, on my knees, on my discs in my spine, all those start to degenerate, and now we start getting arthritis. And so arthritis isn't an old age disease. It just takes so long that we consider it an old age disease. Though I've had films of 16-year-olds that have degeneration already in their neck. And I have to look at them and say, this is not a good scenario for you. You've got a wake-up call at age 16. What will you do with it? You can ignore my words and let this continue, or you can start to change things now. And so it's nice to be able to have that input early on, because if somebody would have come to me when I was in my early 20s pulling my left quad from jumping, playing volleyball, and somebody would have told me, hey, you're pulling that because of digestive concerns. And I heard that when I was 30, and even then I said, I don't have digestive complaints. But if somebody would have poked around a little bit more and said, you mean you've never laid on the couch at age 11, 12, 13 and in tons of gut pain and lived on acidophilus? And I just said, I actually did do that. And they said, well, do you avoid protein because you don't have a taste for it? Yeah, I guess I do. If they'd asked me some poignant questions, I'd have realized I had some gut trouble, and I was looking at it in terms of a physical ailment, not just a stomach ailment. And so it's actually affecting other parts of my body, but I didn't know. Who knew? And so, as I grow in this knowledge, I do want to have people have a better opportunity than I had, and find out things maybe early and give the opportunity to change. That really is where it all comes down to. You have the opportunity to change. So let's say some of you are cracking your knuckles, and you look at your knuckles right now and they're nice and bright red. And you're thinking, oof, man, okay, maybe I should do something differently. Well, yes, you need to do something differently, but now we need to start really controlling diet. We need to reduce some grains. We need to reduce sugar. We need to increase vegetables. We'll increase vitamin C and vitamin E, which will help those blood vessels start to heal, and those knuckles start to heal, and your joints start to heal. Then you'll start making cartilage, and lo and behold, your knees will start to feel better. Your plantar fasciitis, if you have that already, will start to feel better, because it will start dealing with those inflammatory conditions by removing those things that make inflammation. And so, does cracking knuckles produce arthritis? Not usually. But a poor diet paired with it, yes, will progress it quite nicely. And so it all comes back down to really what's inside of us. And the next podcast that I'm going to do next week, I want to talk about essential and non-essential tissue. And if you've liked this podcast, do stay tuned for that one next week, because that's really going to kind of be an eye-opener for folks when it comes to thinking like, what is my body doing? What is it telling me? Can I look at it and just say, is it performing well or isn't it performing well? And you'll know very quickly as I explain and unpack essential tissue and non-essential tissue and what it means to you and how your body heals. And so the joints, you're going to find out, are non-essential tissue. So if you're getting arthritis, your body is pulling nutrients from what it considers non-essential nutrient tissue, and it's giving it to essential tissue. And so we're going to talk about that more next time. But until then, keep your questions coming. I love them. And I'm Dr. Troy-Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.